Hi, and welcome to what I think is going to be an amazing panel with Radha Blank and the cast of 40-Year-Old Version. I can't tell you how excited I am about this. I am Darrien Michele Gipson. I'm the executive director of SAGindie, and I think this panel is just going to be such an amazing talk for such an amazing film. We're especially excited about this because this film represents exactly what SAGindie believes in, that if you are not being cast in the roles that you want, if people aren't paying you to direct and write, if you don't have a studio behind you or millions of dollars in your checkbook, but you have a voice and a story to tell, you can make your own movie. And you can make it so unique to you that your passion will make the industry stand up and take notice. Such is the situation with our moderator, host, writer, director, actor, talent extraordinaire, Radha Blank. Radha, I'm so happy to see you.
That intro, I'm not sure I deserve it yet, but I'll pay down on it. That was amazing. Thank you, Darrien.
I stopped just short of splitting the atom in her spare time.
Oh my God, like I felt the earth shake. What I do want to say really quickly is what the SAGindie audience may not know is I met you 3 years ago on the Sundance Resort for the Creative Producing Lab. And you came to help demystify contracts for us, all the producers and directors at the table, and it was so informative and enlightening, and it really did give me the confidence to move forward in this process. And now here we are, 3 years later. I'm talking with you and my cast. It's a great full circle moment.
And splitting the atom in your spare time.
Yes.
You are taking over the world. And it's been a joy to see how people have embraced this movie and embraced your talent and have unabashedly just thrown love at you. I hope you were feeling it from all the places that I am seeing it, because people have really keyed into the beauty of this movie.
Yeah, no, I feel it. I mean, it's not a bad second to an actual live screening, where you hear people laughing and responding, especially when you go to certain segments of the Black community. I mean, it gets lit, but what has been a great, second prize, a wonderful shining second prize, is just being online and people hitting me up in my DMs telling me like, this is my story, that's me as an artist in New York struggling, and that the work in some way was healing for them. So that it's just been such a reward, for us as filmmakers to sit back and see that it's resonated with its audience.
Oh, that's beautiful. I want to, before we let you go and launch into your panel, I wanted to ask a couple of questions myself, if you don't mind.
Mm-hmm.
So as a writer, director, and the star of a movie, when did you know that it was ready? When did you finally go, this is it, I'm ready to go to the next step?
That's such a good question, because it was quite a process in writing it. It was a web series at one point. Then I wrote it when I started writing for TV. I wrote it as a 30-minute pilot, and then ultimately decided that it was a black and white 35mm feature-length film. I didn't know it was 2 hours at the time. It was just maybe 110 pages. But I think, I have a very small knit community of people that I share my work with. I'm very private and very protective of anything I'm working on. And for the first time, I decided to share the script with someone outside of that circle. And that circle, I can't even count it on one hand. And that was Franklin Leonard from the Blacklist, who's like my big little bro, because I'm older than him, in the business. And he said he read the script on a plane one time. And he said he was laughing so loud that people were like looking at him like, dude, can I have a nap on this flight, please? And that's when I knew, when it was someone who wasn't in my insular writing community, just someone outside of it who was very supportive and a very captive audience, that's when I was like, okay, it's time to take this out. There's that was around maybe right before Sundance, or right around that time.
Wow.
And being in that Sundance, environment, they pick people who they feel have a trajectory around their career. I didn't have financing at that point, but having that support and then getting the mentorship from everyone from Doug Wright to Octavia Spencer,
This is the lab, the Sundance lab.
This is the Sundance lab. And I actually went through a couple of them. I started in the screenwriting lab, and then that's where they vet filmmakers for the director's lab. And then I got to go to the creative producers lab because I am one of the producers on my project. And then I got recruited for Catalyst, which is a fundraising, not fundraising, it's a pitch forum where writers are trying to connect with potential financiers. And it's been very heavily vetted and curated. And it was like the final step before finally moving into production of the next year. So, yeah.
Tremendous. And then I just wanted to ask, since we're talking to your cast, and I know that you're going to dive into this more, but, what was your thought once you were there about how you wanted to go about casting?
Yeah, well, I have a theater background, even though I'm not trained in theater. I have a theater background, and first of all, I know so many amazing actors in that, field. So I pulled people along who I had worked with in some way or another. Stacy, the actress who plays Stacy, is actually one of my close friends, Stacy Sargent, who has workshopped a number of my plays. So that's very true to life in our relationship. Peter Kim was someone who I was working with on a totally different project, and we had kind of like a personal revelation in that moment. For me, at least, where I was like, Archie, who I had originally written as a young, skinny, white dude half my age. After working with Peter, I was like, why isn't he Archie? And it made just so much sense in terms of the storytelling. He was such a gift to the process. And then everyone else, Jessica Daniels, she's a New York girl. She knows this city, and she knew how important it was for me to authenticate that New York feeling. And so she helped define almost everybody else. We had Lauren Lopez, who helped to do with street casting, but Jessica helped me to build out the young actors, aside from Imani Wilson, who I kind of ran up on after a screening of Premature. I was like, I want you to audition for my movie. Everyone else, Jessica helped to find. And, yeah, I can't wait to talk to her about some of our process, but it really was a team effort. I don't think I could have found all of those people on my own. And I know Jessica was also invested in me kind of responding to the people that she had kind of cultivated.
I think it's so important to have that relationship with your casting director so that you're working towards the same goals, and that only comes through trust and communication. And so it'll be really interesting to hear how you all talk about how you went about this process. And I don't want to prolong the wait any longer. So without any more, hand the reins over to you. I know this is going to be an amazing panel, and we are just so lucky to get to hear it. So it is lovely to see you again.
Same here, Darrien. Thank you so much for having me. As she said, my name is Radha Blank, the writer, director, and lead actor of the 40-year-old version, which premiered on Netflix October 9th, but you can catch it now, here, there, Brazil, wherever you're at, you can, as long as you got some good Wi-Fi, you can catch it. I'm so honored that SAGindie would support me in having a conversation with some of my favorite people in the world, and not just my favorite artists, but my favorite people. And so because the way Zoom works, you got to speak to be seen. When I say your name, please say, hey, say hi. So joining me, wait, I'm trying to get the gallery. Oh, this is the gallery view. Joining me, let's start with my two leading men. Peter Kim is here, I believe. Hello, are you here?
Hey.
Where are you? I don't see your face.
Oh,
everyone's jumping. Oh, this
Why
is
am I not popping up?
Yeah.
Everyone
More.
popped up at once.
Come into the room. Come into the room.
Hold on. We in here.
Okay, wait. Who else is that? Is it
Antonio.
Antonio? Hey. Oh, you.
Hey, we in here. We in here. What's up, everybody?
Oh my God. For everyone who's watching, this is the first time. Hi, CJ. How you doing? Is Jacob on the line? Where's he at? I don't see Jacob. Is he
CJ,
here?
what's good?
Oh, hey y'all. Say hi to the SAGindie audience.
Hi guys.
This is the amazing cast of the 40-year-old version. Hey, Jacob Ming-Trent, there he goes. And our amazing casting director, Jessica Daniels. So we got Peter Kim, who plays Archie Choi. Say hey.
Hi.
We got Oswin Benjamin, who plays D.
What's going on?
Okay. We got Imani Lewis, who plays my arch nemesis, Elaine. We got Haskiri Velazquez, who you may not recognize her, but yes, she did play Rosa.
Hi.
Gary, what's up?
Actually, I know someone lost money because they didn't believe. I was like, no, this is the same young lady who played. They're like, that's not the same person. We'll talk about that. We got TJ Adams.
Okay, I'm gonna need like a piece of that. We're gonna have to.
Oh no, we're gonna break it down. We got, who else do we have here? Jacob Ming-Trent. Hello, sir.
How you guys doing? Good to see everybody.
Jacob, people are asking me, when is your character getting his own show? That's what they're asking me. And I was like, it's simple. He just stands outside of many places around New York harassing people.
Right.
So first of all,
We also got Antonio on the line.
Oh wait, Antonio. I'm sorry. I was talking about his haircut and he didn't hear me. Hey, Antonio.
Hi,
everybody. Thank you, Peter. You know what?
What's up?
This is why you're here.
I'm just trying to look out for everybody. That's all.
What people don't know is that Peter is also a producer extraordinaire, and he's always in producer mode. Okay. Do you do taxes, Peter?
No.
Okay.
That's racist. Why you guys get numbers? Shoot.
So, you know what? Before we get to this illustrious cast, I would love to start the conversation with my homegirl, my New York sister, Jessica Daniels, our amazing casting director. Let's give her a round of applause.
Love Jessica. So
Jessica, what did you think when you first got this script as a potential assignment for you?
I loved it. And I'm not just saying that, I really did. I was delighted by it. I just thought it felt so real, so personal. It was such a New York story. I knew of you, but I didn't know you well. So I just thought it was so ambitious. And just as a casting director, I thought it would be really fun to pull this world together with you. So I was excited to read it. I read it in one sitting and I was excited to meet you and hear what your thoughts were for because there were challenges to it too. Like it did seem like
the 500 characters,
like the billion characters to cast, little budget, lots of big ideas.
Yes.
Yeah.
Big ideas, big cast, little budget.
Conundrum, but you made it work. So.
But Jessica, did you have any particular investment because you are a native New Yorker? Casting a New York film?
I think so. Yeah, of course. I took that for granted, right? But the worlds just seemed so truthful and real to me and so vibrant. And even though I related to them so well, I couldn't think of another movie that pictured them in the same way that you did, that felt so visceral and so real. So from the theater world to the music world to just New York itself and all the people that you encounter on the bus, on the street, anywhere you go. It felt very close to my own experience. I grew up here. I've been a theater kid forever, was a big hip hop head and, love working on these films that really, are so authentic and also have a really original point of view.
Yeah. And I felt that every time we sat down, there was a particular investment because you're from here doing a New York film. How did you feel about this idea that one, I'd be very involved in the casting, but that we would do street casting as well as background casting? How did you feel about that not pulling it together, but being a part of that?
Sure. I mean, I will say that like in my work, I look for directors who inspire me, and I particularly love working with female directors and first-time female directors. So sitting down with you and hearing all that you had to say and your vision for this movie was hugely inspiring to me, and I knew that I wanted to like dive right in. In terms of all the different pieces of casting, I come from like a traditional casting background where like I go to theater all the time. I watch a ton of movies. I watch a ton of TV. So like that's the world that I work in. I admire street casting or casting real people. It's not necessarily my forte. So that part was like a little intimidating to me. I'm not going to lie. Background casting I think is hugely important. And I don't do a ton of background casting, but I know in a film when it's not done well because it takes you out of the scene immediately. Like it has to be done authentically. So like I knew it was going to be a team effort, and that I like collaborating. Like that's always something that is appealing to me.
Well, one of the biggest compliments I get on the film, and I don't know if anybody else gets this, is that people tell me two things. They say it's Black as fuck, and they say it's New York as fuck. Have you guys heard that people feel that? And I know this goes back to casting, Jessica, that like everybody in the film, whether they were from Upper West Side or deep in the heart of Brownsville, felt like a piece of New York. Have other people heard that this felt very New York, the film?
Yeah.
Definitely.
Well, I moved to LA briefly, and my neighbor came up to me and he was like, when I saw that film, I felt like I was back in New York just because it was just so real. It wasn't like a fake set, it wasn't a sound stage. It was the real streets, and it hit home for sure. And he enjoyed that the most.
I've heard that a lot from people too, that that people who are not here anymore, the film kind of transported them. And I really think it's a testament to all of the amazing work that Jessica did and that you guys did as actors on the project. I'm trying to remember who we cast first out of all of these beautiful faces. It probably was Peter Kim, the first official person.
I knew that. I knew it was Pete. I knew it was Pete. I remember this story.
We should have made a game of this. Trust me, I got some questions for y'all later that there might be surprises. So Peter, what people may not know is I've known Mr. Kim for a couple of years. We moisturize, so we look a little younger. But we met a number of years ago when, do you want to tell them, Peter, how we met?
Yeah, no, I mean, I was randomly brought on to do some dialect work for one of Radha's plays, which is ironic because I don't do dialect coaching, but well, Radha had written a character that was of Asian descent, and I think I knew the director, so I was brought on. But Radha and I just hit it off. I mean, Radha, I feel like we met, and I don't know, I think we just kind of like made each other laugh.
We made each other laugh, but like, one thing I love about a producer, and I don't know if this is your producer brain, but what I love about producers are the best producers to me are the least afraid to bring you bad news or to tell you the truth. And he and I were working on something in this play where at the end, the old Korean lady just gives her nail shop over to the young Black girl who becomes her surrogate daughter. And Peter was like, oh my God, that is so beautiful. Would never happen. And like it completely, how it's almost like somebody walks into the room for the first time and you're like in love with them. I just saw a different person. And then I was like, well, initially the Archie character was a young, skinny, white guy, half my age, to kind of play off the generational tensions. And after that moment, I was like, why isn't this guy Archie? And the reason that's such a big deal is because it changed the dynamic of storytelling. Now we got two friends who came up together, ending up in different places. So I believe Peter was first because we had already been working together, and Jessica was like, I love him, great. You made my job easier, thank you.
Yeah.
And then was Oswin next or the young people next?
Well,
out of the people who are here.
Because we started, it was like the summer before we ended up shooting, right?
Yeah, 2018.
And Imani was someone who came in early, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And it might have been Imani.
Imani.
And you know what? It was
Antonio.
Antonio.
I think Antonio.
And another young actor who was before you, TJ, in the role of Kamal. And Antonio, you blew me away from the minute you opened your mouth. I was like, that is the most New York guy. I said guy. You know what I mean? So Antonio, what was it like when you read the script and you came into audition?
Well, mainly, I don't even think I got to tell you this, but mainly, like, one of the things that I do prior to even going to the audition is, like, I know Jessica, so I already knew the casting agency and things like that. So I was Googling. Normally, before I even go to the audition, I Google who the director is, right? For some reason, I was busy that day, didn't Google it, and then I Googled literally 3 minutes before you walked in who you were. And then I was like, oh, okay, this is her first. Oh, she's actually been doing this for really long. And then you walk in casually, this New York right in Queen, and I'm like, all right, let me not freak out real quick. Let me hold my own. And then I heard how you spoke, and it was professional, but I could tell you're from here.
New York twang.
Yeah, I was like, okay, so I can't bull my way through this. Like, I actually have to show her my Harlem accent, my authentic New York vibe.
You know,
and
what
it was cool.
You know what I have to say real quick, and it's pertaining to Haskiri. I'm giving things away here. Is Haskiri here? Is she around?
Yeah, she is.
I remember.
Oh my gosh,
It's all right. It's okay. I'll talk to you.
I know. I'm like, wait, let's.
It's all good. But initially, Jessica, you sent me Haskiri on tape, I believe. Like, I think we had cast Imani. We had cast Antonio, and we cast another person as Kamal. TJ ended up saving the day. But we had 3 young people, and I'm going to get to you, Imani, and TJ in a second. We had 3 young people who felt like, listen, I've been a teaching artist for 20 years, and even though I've worked with probably hundreds of young people, there's certain kinds of personalities that stick out and stay with me. And you guys reminded me, and y'all were so authentically New York, that when it came time to filling the last piece, I'm giving some stuff away. I was like, I don't know, Jessica, I don't think an actress, you know what I'm saying? Let me go to the street casting people and find me like a real Rosa off the street. And they were dynamic. Would you agree, Jessica? They were very talented, young women, but because we had this Super 3, I was like, they will eat her alive. and tell us, and talk about bringing Haskiri into the fold and how initially I was like, I wasn't sure.
You weren't, but I don't know. I've known Haskiri, it's been a couple years now, and I just know what a firecracker is, and she's a chameleon. And I knew in my gut that you were going to rock it. And I knew that we needed to balance, and especially with Imani, for you to
when
go
I first,
toe and
yes,
and,
Imani, the queen, I gotta get another queen in there. But when I first saw Haskiri on tape, I was like, too soft, too pretty. I was like, I don't know if she can do Rosa, right?
You did,
You did. You're like, Jess, if this doesn't work, it's on you. And I was like, okay.
And I think I told you, Jessica, I was like, I need more Young and May.
Yeah.
More Young and May.
Yeah.
And then I saw the tape again. Haskiri, you went and did a reset.
Yeah. I changed in the casting office bathroom. Like, I actually put you downstairs, get into put the Scully on, and I was like, okay, I have to embody this character. And I'm just like really thankful to get the opportunity. It was a challenge for me. Although I felt like I knew I could bring her to life on screen, it was still homework I had to do when I went home. Watch interviews, certain characteristics, the way even that on Antonio and TJ, actually, it was a
you're breaking up just a little bit. You might have to get closer to your device. Just so we can hear you a little bit better.
Yeah.
What was the last thing that you said? Yes.
Oh, I was gonna say, even on set, like, I asked Antonio and TJ for certain advice, and they helped me. So it was a well-rounded cast for sure.
Well, you did such a wonderful job with Rosa. Like, people to this day still, when we were at Sundance, they were like, no, where's Rosa? And I was like, that's the person who played Rosa. And you listen, I think, you know, again, me wanting to make it authentic, like, oh, well, if we find a real person who's from that role, but because Jessica had found me these gems and Imani was in the mix, it had to be someone who could hold their own in that group. Which Imani, I don't know if you remember when I ran up on you after a premature screening. I know she was like, is this woman a pimp? What is this guy? I ran up on you. Do you remember that?
You did. Yeah, we were at BAM in Brooklyn for premature screening. And I remember you walked up to me and I was with one other person and you were like, hey, like, I got this movie that I'm doing in the summer. Like, I'm thinking like July. Like, and I just think, I really think it'd be dope if you audition for it. So I'm like, oh, okay, cool. Talk about opportunity. I'm like, I didn't say that. So I gave my name, my email address. And I think a couple days later, email came to my agency and I was like, why does this woman look so familiar? I'm like, oh, she was
robbed me before in Brooklyn.
Yeah, cool. And then when I read the script, I immediately was like, oh yeah, I need this. I have to have this. I have to have it.
So who here is from New York originally? And what is it like working on I'm sorry. I didn't want to leave out my brother TJ Adams here. Who, if you remember TJ, you came late to that first table read. And I called up Jessica and I said,
Yo, I'm not gonna lie. I honestly didn't know that it was TJ coming, right? So we're at the first and foremost.
Because our original Kamal had fallen out.
Exactly.
And Jessica was like, I'm telling you, this guy, I was like, I know he's a great ODB. I'm not sure.
I don't know. When he walked in, Ms. Rock, I swear on everything I love. When he walked in, I looked at everybody at the table read like, am I the only one that realizes that's ODB? And then and I was like, oh, okay, so Ms. Radha knows too. No problem. It's not just me.
It was hectic around that time. Not gonna lie.
Now TJ is originally from Philly. Which, are you there now? Are you in LA?
Yeah, you can hear me? No, I'm in New York right now.
Okay, you're in New York. How's your folks and family in Philly doing?
Everybody
they pulled
good
it
in
through
Philly.
For us.
Yeah, they pulled it through. Yeah.
Harris.
Yeah, they definitely pulled through.
What is it like as an actor, TJ? Like, someone else has a role that you didn't originally audition for, but you're coming in kind of like to help pick up the pieces.
At first, it was like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I enjoyed when I got the script, I enjoyed it. It seemed like fun. Then I got there and I was like, yo, everybody really cool and funny. Like, the table read was really funny. Everybody was really cool. And I was like, you know what I'm saying? I was really shocked. So, you know what I'm saying?
You didn't feel any pressure coming behind this person who had already kind of, you know, like by the time you came to the table, all those people had been kind of
cast
vetted
already.
And cast and stuff.
Yeah. I felt confident though when I first met everybody at the table read. I felt like everybody, the cast was very cool. Everybody like, you know, knew how to handle themselves when it comes to acting. So I felt confident, you know. Everybody gave me that. Yeah.
So for everyone here, I know Oswin, this is your very first time, not just acting in acting in a film, but acting period, right? This is your first.
This your first time
acting? Killed it.
I mean, I see it everywhere, Oswin. People don't believe me when I say you've never acted before this experience. Can you talk about what it is to kind of literally step into this role as an actor for the first time?
It was scary as hell. I'm not gonna lie. It was like that because it was something that I never done, and I was nervous. And, you know, we had conversations. I almost didn't even do it because I was that shook. You know what I'm saying? So to go through with it and for us to vibe, like I was like, yo, when I went into the casting, when I went into the audition, I feel like I've known Radha my whole life. Like from that first conversation, like from the eye, he's from over there somewhere. You know what I mean? And I felt.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? After doing the audition and then actually getting the role, like it was crazy. And to Haskiri's point, like there was a lot of dope people on set that was walking me through the whole experience. So it was really a well-rounded cast. Like Antonio, that's my guy. You know what I mean?
Brody.
My man, and we built like a brotherhood. The set, Peter Kim too, like walking me through even when I thought I was having bad days. Like, no, you good. Imani always had the energy. Like, yeah, what we doing? Yeah, nah. You know what I'm saying? Like that. That's what we do. Like everybody that played a role in making me feel like I've been doing this for a while longer than I haven't. So shout out to Jessica and you for the cast. Like I felt comfortable on it.
Yeah.
Well, what a lot of people may not know is, Jessica and I were talking briefly about this kind of collaborative process of like her having suggestions, and they're people that I've kind of curated in the back of my mind from before I had financing for the film, and us coming together around that. But casting the role of D, I knew it was going to be very challenging. One, because in my theory, and any of the other actors can chime in, when it comes to authentic urban characters, I find a lot of actors have had that trained out of them in some way. If they're originally from New York, and they start going through a process, matriculated sometimes in a training, the G has been put back on the ing. And so for me, I really wanted to find someone who felt like New York. And if they weren't from New York, there was such a love and reverence there. And, Jessica had some wonderful options for me, but there was always something missing. And I realized what the missing thing is I think I needed to be equally yoked with my whoever was going to play in that role, because I have not had training either. And I'm a performer, and that might come naturally, but it's one thing to be in a scene. And so what people may not know is that I went down like a 2 or 3 hour rabbit hole on Google. I put New York rapper in the search engine because I wanted it to be an MC playing someone who wasn't an MC. And Oswin, after a while, I found him and then stalked him online. And then I said, Jessica, I think this is a guy. And Jessica, would you agree, like from the minute he walked in?
Absolutely. We knew.
That we knew?
There was so much chemistry between you two. Oswin, you have like such an unassuming way, and yet you have so much confidence and swagger. Like that fits D so well. And yet you were so open, like from that very first process, like, and so natural, and just like you have such an enigmatic, like star-like quality about you. You really do. That it was just like my jaw was on the floor at the end of that reading, and you Radha was like giddy. Like
I think that you and I then had to be actors because we were trying to act cool. Like, okay, that was great, good job. No, you're wonderful. You're great. And then the minute he left, we were like, "Oh, girl!"
First audition. I mean,
yeah,
blew us away.
Yeah, I just want to say, Oswin, man, it was beautiful, dude. Like, I've watched the movie 3 times now, and there's things you do naturally that people work a lifetime to have. So congratulations to you, brother. It was great.
Listen, Oswin, I don't know if you've seen Jacob's reel, but this man has played every type of person, from a surly homeless person to a panda, in a Marvel type of universe. I mean, Jacob Ming-Trent, first of all, I want to give you a round of applause.
Oh, thank you.
Because
Judi Dench of our movie.
Say it again.
You're the Judi Dench of our movie.
Judi Dench, exactly.
Minutes,
it might be 8 minutes of footage, but when I say award worthy, here's the thing: it's like, we all know that kind of character. We've all encountered them in some kind of way. And I remember Jessica also showing me a bunch of people. And it was funny because there was a question about whether or not I would cast that role with a rapper. There's some rappers who make cameos as regular New Yorkers. And there was somebody who was kind of in the running, and very controversial character. We'll talk about that offline. I just knew I couldn't go in that direction. And I saw your work and was so blown away by how earnest you are, and then to meet you, and I'm like, is that a British accent? No, okay. You're like, it's so refined. And yet you bring this rugged get rawness that doesn't feel like caricature to the character. Can you talk about, like, when you first saw the script and you saw it was this homeless dude, what were you thinking, like, I'm better than this?
Oh, I never think that. But yo, that line, what line is that? The magical Negro line?
Uh-huh.
When I read that, I was like, I gotta do this. This is gonna go down in history.
Yep.
I've got to say that line. Shit. And look, it's good that you didn't call me directly, because I would have paid you.
Oh, you're hilarious.
I'm serious.
You brought an authenticity and humor, you know, like, I felt like in the scene, like, I was the straight man and you were like just the comedy gold. And I always feel like comedy works when the person's not trying to be funny. Like, it felt like a study.
Mm-hmm.
Did you like create this? Did you create like a background for him, a story or something like that?
Well, yes, I always think about that. But then also, I've been homeless twice. So, like, I had spent time with folks like this, you know, and the key to it is that there's a pride. Okay, when somebody lives on the street, there's a sort of pride that they have that keeps them alive. So I knew that at the core, this character had a lot of pride. Even, I mean, look, if you're gonna take a shit in the middle of the street, that's some confidence.
And in front of a church.
In front of a church.
You can't forget that.
You got confidence, you know. That's self-belief.
I just want to say this. This is probably TMI, but that scene was inspired by me seeing what looked like human release across the street. Like, what a lot of people may not know is that actual church is across the street from my actual apartment in New York. And I saw it there and I just said, did someone have an issue with their intestines, or were they making some political statement? And it made me think about who could be that person that would to share those details. I know some people wanted to know. But Jacob, you were just so amazing in the role. All of you were so great. Like, this is the one thing that everyone says across the board. Radha, that cast. They say, Radha, that cast, you know.
I do want to congratulate you, though, if I can, because there are a lot of people that got to watch the movie that I told them about. I told them it was coming out, things like that, and they said the same thing about the cast. But one of the main things that I kept hearing was the visionary vibe that you gave off with this project. There's a lot of people that have watched this that have randomly, that I didn't even tell about the movie, that'll hit me up like, yo, I saw you in this is amazing. Yo, who directed this? I got like a Spike Lee vibe from this. And I find that to be amazing because I told you that while we were filming it. It gave me a very deep and poetic vibe to it. And I'm so happy that the audience was able to grasp that as well.
Thank you. But I feel like, you know, my biggest job as a director is casting, is finding the right people to enliven the script. I'm sure you've seen a film where the script is really funny, but someone is not delivering or not believing in their role as much as they possibly should. Elaine, AKA Imani Wilson, I recently revealed the inspiration for our little scene, the scene for Purple Rain. Some people got it immediately.
That scene was crazy.
Some people
Can we start it out there? Like, three of us on set kind of caught it, like, while it was happening. We were like, oh, shit, it's Purple Rain.
It's for either, like, Prince fans, people of a certain age. You know, not everyone has seen that film. But in the film, you play almost like my nemesis.
Right.
People call you my nemesis, but I actually say that Elaine and Radha are a lot alike in that,
mirror,
you know, right, a mirror, that they both feel unheard, unseen. They feel like somebody, right, like I got this thing to say, nobody's hearing me, right. And you know, also that they feel owed something. So I do feel that there, you know, there's a lot of mirrors in the film, and that's one of them. But what people may not know is you are like so sweet. You are just one of the sweetest people I've ever met. And you're also a fierce MC.
Thank you.
You know what I mean? What were you thinking about playing this character who people may call a villain in some way?
I'm kind of used to it. Like I end up, weirdly enough, like as like kind and like social as I am, like I always end up getting these roles where she's kind of awkward. And I'm like, I can do it. Like only I think above all, one is the New York in me. Like I feel like as New Yorkers we have a switch. Like we're like pretense the moment we wake up and go outside and make our way to work. We get on the train like, don't get me tight, don't get me tight, don't get me tight. Like I think that's already in us in a way. But I feel like I was so excited for the character because again, one is so authentic, and two, I feel like you made it easy to kind of see a part of myself in it. I feel like as an aspiring artist, it's like, please appreciate my art. Please appreciate what I do. Please, like, you know, like, it's like we're just constantly like fighting this fight to be like, to be heard and to feel like our art is worth something and that it means something to somebody else other than ourselves. I feel like that's really the trophy for it to like impact other people. Like this film, like I feel like that's why this film is such a masterpiece, because not only does it mean so much to us, but it has influenced so many other people. And I feel like it's gonna influence so many people to like go after it, like go after whatever it is. If you want to be like a professional knitter for the next 80 years of your life, then go do that shit, you know? So I feel
what up, my knitter?
I know this Slipknot. I like to crochet. What we doing? You know?
What?
You feel me? So I feel like
I saw what's
exactly what we doing. Let's make a sweater. You feel me? So I feel like this character. I feel like I just love that. I feel like there was so many comedic elements in a lot of these characters. So I appreciated that Elaine kind of wasn't that. Like that she was kind of the polar opposite in that regard. And I like the fact that, like you said, like certain things are funny when she doesn't mean to be, like her poem. Like she's dead serious about that poem.
Oh, I think she would spit that at the New Yorkers Poets, cafe in a second. So,
you know, so
in like a second.
When I seen that in the script, I was like, oh yeah, I need this role. I feel like her character is important for so many too.
Well, the reason I brought up that scene is because, you know, the film is 2 hours and I know editors are always trying to make things concise. And I had a feedback session with a bunch of editors, and not the editor of this film, Rob Wilson, but someone else in the group was like, do we really need that scene with Elaine? And, you know I kind of almost imitated the scene with Morris Day and Prince in Purple Rain. Mm-hmm. But the reason that scene is so important to me is without even saying it, we get to see that maybe she's felt a certain way about, you know, insulting Radha. So I had to keep it in because I think people often dismiss girls and characters like Elaine. You know, they think she's only angry and there aren't other layers there. So let me just ask you guys a couple of questions in this last 15 minutes and just jump in there. So we're shooting this film. The budget is very, very, very low. Like as an actor, especially for those who've made films before, what would you tell an actor, you know, who has to eat, right? But may want to make a choice to be on a film that would take up their time and not put a lot of money in their pocket. I don't know, Jacob, Peter, anybody?
Definitely worth it. I feel like you gotta put that work in. Like in this film, I did not expect it to do so well. I knew it was gonna go crazy, but it really did. I think it's a cultural film. Like it did something for the culture. Like we shot the whole thing in black and white. It's a really fun film. Everybody I talked to enjoyed it. And I gotta thank you because I'm not ODB no more in the streets. Like people really be like, "Yo, you're the 40-year-old virgin." So I'm like, "Wow, yo, it's really dope." I ain't gonna lie. Like, the whole cast killed it. Like, yeah, I think you gotta really.
So you would encourage them to take the chance. Jacob, what are you thinking?
Oh yeah,
because you took a chance.
Sure. Well, you know, sure. I love the script, so I mean, I did it and. Financially, I was in a good position. But the truth is, Radha, I came up making nothing. I mean, I was doing shows, you know, in New York I was paying them. Basically, you know, with the Metro card and eating and everything, I didn't make $1. I spent, you know, years on unemployment. So I still get pinched when people are like, yo, you want to do my movie and I'll pay you. That's just amazing to me.
Wow. I'm
truly grateful. So should young actors take the risk? Yeah, go, always. If you love the script, take it.
Always.
But what about the person who's not young? What about the actor who's been seasoned? I mean, we had Reed Birney in our cast who sends his regards. He so wanted to join us today, but like many of you in here, he's shooting something. But like, you know, what about the older actor, the person who's been maybe on a couple of procedurals or whatever? Jessica, do you have any advice for an actor taking on a very, 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 very low budget film?
I mean, I feel like most actors are artists. Some, when they get older and really comfortable, don't necessarily like to take risks. And that's, you know, that's their MO. I think it's unfortunate because if you can continue to be inspired, I mean, look, there's nothing wrong with procedural television, but it's not art in the same way. And it's not necessarily going to challenge you or an audience in the same way. So I think it's important to like keep diversified in terms of the projects that you're working on, but like you have to take risks on projects that are not shoo-ins or, you know, have small budgets, but are really brilliant and inspiring.
Yeah, I mean, I mean, I just want to add, like, Radha, I feel like this case is a little different because your script was so wonderful and powerful, and that like anyone that read it would feel like, I want to be part of that. So it doesn't feel like a tough decision to make.
I was just gonna add on to that because what's crazy is Reed and I'm glad you actually mentioned it. Reed and I actually had this conversation in Utah when we went to Sundance, because a lot of the time when I speak about, you know, like being in this business and things like that, a lot of times people don't realize that I've been acting for as long as I've been acting. So I've been doing this since I was 3. In actuality, I've been in the field for 18 years, and Reed and I were actually speaking on the fact that we have a similar time span in this, right? So one of the major things that we spoke about, one of the major things that we actually agreed upon was like Peter said, first and foremost, the script does not make it feel like a low budget film. But when you have that opportunity to take something that is lower budget than something else that may possibly bring you more recognition because it's on prime time, you have the ability in this role to stretch your artist legs, so to speak, and to show your range and to actually hone in on your craft, where in other shows or movies or projects or whatever you're doing that are more heavily produced, it's very pigeonholed, and you have to go completely to what the character has been already brought up as. There's no room for creativity, especially when you have big production. So one of the major things I loved about this was not only that it was an opportunity for me to kind of, you know, work on my craft, but furthermore, you were so open to creativity from all of us as a cast, and you were open to our input on how, you know, we would make this more authentic. And I think that spoke in the film a lot, because there's a lot of times that watching it myself, I remember being on set like, yeah, that wasn't necessarily scripted. The scene itself was, but what went down, what transpired actually kind of just happened naturally. And that, in my opinion, makes the film so much more beautiful than if this was like a big production, because it kept it more personal to each individual person.
Yeah.
Thank you, Antonio. What I want to say to that very quickly is that as a person who was in front and behind the camera, I personally felt like I had no choice but to relent to this idea that the actors in the film are my co-authors. You know, like, yeah, we, for the most part, I would say 90% of the time stuck to what was on the page, honestly. And a lot of people don't believe me when I tell them that, but that speaks to finding an actor who can enliven the language and make it their own. And I think that at some point I talked to maybe everybody here about like, create your backstory. Like, even if I'm a conductor, I can't play the tuba. You're the tuba player. You have to then create the breath, you know what I mean? That would create.
You had us all come up with our last names, right?
I think so. Yeah, because I believe it was just, you know, I always thought Waldo and Kamal, you know, Rosa and Elaine. Can people, if people want to share, like, oh, wait, I think that I'm getting a note that we have to wind up soon. And I'm really sad about that because we just got on together. That's what it feels like. 2
When
minutes.
we doing a part 2?
We should do a part 2 because first of all, we all
We'll do a
haven't
part
seen
2.
each other. Does anyone want to just speak to, was there a scene in the film that was challenging for you as an actor and how you got through it? We only have a couple of minutes, so only a few people can respond.
Being so mean to you, Radha. Damn, I love you. I don't want to be so hard to you. Like, that was hard. I love Haskiri. I didn't want to be so hard to her. Like, that's one thing I gotta say. Like, of course, I love all of you. Like, but I feel like that's one thing that was like in the back of my mind in the challenge, like to be so blatantly disrespectful to people who like. Period. Like, it's not easy. I feel like that. And I want to answer your last question. I feel like you should never turn your nose up to any kind of, whether it's low budget or $1 million budget. One, it's humbling, I feel, to stick to these kind of projects, because I feel like it's not in many projects that you'll meet people with these kind of dynamics where we are compassionate and we're considerate of each other's personal space and considerate of each other's feelings, of each other's time. And I feel like this project, it just means so much. And I'm so glad I could be a part of it. I just want to say that.
Facts.
Touch on that too, Radha. Like, I mean, I do music. You know what I'm saying? So it's like there's a lot of times where I will have to take the connection to the check. You know what I mean? And I would rather build with the person that I'm dealing with, as opposed to getting, you know what I'm saying, necessarily pay for the joint. And those connections are the joints that last way longer. Right. You know what I mean? So
yeah, I mean, I'm an artist, and to me, I feel like you make art in a creative way. You know what I mean? Like I just, even though we found the budget to make the film, I just wanted it to feel as authentic and raw as possible. But you guys really helped to make that happen. God, I just have so many questions for you guys. Did anyone else want to share like a moment, or as we close out, something that was challenging, that anybody?
I mean, I just want to jump in and say, like, Radha, I just want to thank you for this one scene in particular. It's our character's breakup scene. And that, you know, there's a monologue that Archie says in there that is so deeply personal to me, Peter. And that I tell people that it's taken me my entire life to be able to say those words with the truth and integrity that Archie does. And so I want to thank you for that, because even when we were shooting it, I knew that this was a special moment and that it would be immortalized forever. So, so thank you for that. I just wanted to uplift you in that moment.
I also want to say thank you, Ms. Radha, because you inadvertently gave me a validation to something that's been, you know, it's been hinted at, it's been talked about for basically since I've been like 5 years old. There was like, you know, there was a specific demographic of children that were in commercials and in TV shows and things when I was younger. They were always a certain figure on TV. And then after I started doing acting, and after I started doing bigger projects, now there's kids, you know, that look like Mulatto with curly hair in certain shows that weren't doing this a couple years ago. What's crazy is, you know, to friends and people that, you know, I can actually speak freely with, sometimes I'll be like, yeah, there's a couple fake versions of me out there, but whatever. You gave me a real fake version of me in the play. And now everybody knows there's always gonna be a fake version of AJ somewhere trying to imitate something going on. So you stroked my ego so much. Thank you.
Antonio, really quickly about casting. These were actors who went in for the original role.
I remember that because I actually know Francisco personally, and he told me he went out for the role.
I'm losing their names right now. Jessica, if you want to chime in and say their names, you can. I know one of them is
Francisco.
Francisco Burgess, right?
Francisco Burgos, yeah.
Natalie.
Natalie,
yes.
And Dee.
Yeah, Natalie.
No, not
was
Dee.
Say it again.
He was in Wu-Tang too.
Was Kamal.
Right, Dumb and
Oh, yeah.
What's his name?
Well, how gracious of these actors to say, you did not choose me for that role, but I'll play the fake version of that person.
Exactly.
I thought that was just, it really speaks to the spirit and the openness of these actors who I know are going to do great things, because like you all, they were just open to doing something maybe a little bit different.
And they were hilarious in that
They were
scene,
amazing.
because they really were, you know, theatrical.
They were perfect for
airs.
those parts. I could go on and on with you guys. There's not enough time. I miss you guys tremendously. And I feel so honored that you all played a part in the 40-year version. It could not be what it was if it weren't for each and every one of you taking on the lives of those characters. So I'm saying thank you to you, Jessica, Peter, TJ, Antonio, Imani, Jacob, Haskiri, Oswin. You guys are, and the rest of the cast who couldn't be here, you really are gold. And it's I'm blessed that we got to do this together. Thank you to Darrien and the wonderful folks at SAGindie. We got to do a part 2 because I had all kinds of questions. We got to do a part 2.
Yeah,
if they'll have us, we'll come.
Thank you, though, Radha.
We do want to keep. We want to keep praising you, Radha, just because.
Exactly.
Oh, stop!
Well
Executed.
No well executed. It was so good.
I'm very, very grateful for this moment, and I hope if you haven't already seen the work that these amazing artisans do in the 40-year version, please, 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 if anything, carve out 2 hours on a Friday night and watch it with some friends and some alcohol, and you'll really enjoy it. So thank you, SAGindie, thank you, Darrien, and thank you to my wonderful cast and casting director.
Thank you.
I love
thank
you
you
guys.
for the opportunity.
Radha, thank you, Jessica.
Thank you, Jess.
Bye.
Thank you, guys. Thank you, everybody. It was great seeing everybody. I hope we get
Great to see everybody.
In the real world.
Yes.
Thank you.